Good morning, you beautiful people. As you guys know, I got rid of the Endorphin Speed 4 because I wasn't vibing with it. But my father-in-law bought these for my birthday. So as a result, we're rocking with the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4 for the next 2 weeks. Gonna put 100 miles on these babies. But as we ramp up mileage, we've been doing 40 to 45 miles a week for the last 3-4 weeks. And now we're going to be going to 50-55 miles a week. I had to buy a daily trainer, a max cushion recovery run shoe, one that I could just plod along on those tired days. And I saw this at my local shoe shop, running shop, for $100 off. So these were 50% off. So $100 for the ASICS Superblast. After I put these on foot, I was like, wow, these are extremely comfortable. I see what everybody says about these. But yeah, excited to test these out alongside the Endorphin Speed 4. We got some content, baby. We got some things to talk about. But yeah, put 100 miles on these. The 100-mile review is coming soon, and these babies are going to be retired until the foreseeable future. Been a great daily trainer for me. You guys will see my 100-mile review soon. This is on foot first feel, an amazing shoe. It's very comfortable. People say this is a great daily shoe, also for long runs, which I believe because of how comfortable it is. And then also tempo runs, they can say, also for tempo runs, they also say you can use this for race day as well. Comparing the Superblast to a Hoka, which we just got finished testing, night and day. The stack heights are different. This is a low profile. This has, I believe, a 5mm drop, maybe even a 6mm drop, whereas this one has an 8mm drop. Also, comparing it to my favorite daily trainer, especially if you want a non-carbon plated shoe, if you're going that route, the Rebel V4. This is a certified big boy, in my opinion. This is great for bigger runners. Nothing too sexy, it's just a workhorse, straight to business, you know, straight to business. Has a 30mm in the heel and then 24mm in the forefront, giving this a 6mm drop. Comparing it to the ASICS, that has 45mm. So the stack height is significantly larger in this type of shoe, which I believe is a super trainer in my opinion, compared to a shoe that is made mainly for tempos and daily workouts. 6%, 6mm drop, 30 in the heel, 24 in the forefoot. So this is going to be a great shoe if you want to feel the ground, if you want to build those ligaments in the foot during those medium long runs. The midsole does a good job of protecting my feet somewhat, and the drop, it being a 6mm drop with 24 in the forefoot, I feel the ground. I love running in grass in my Rebel V4 because it helps me feel much more connected. I honestly feel like I'm grounding. Whereas a shoe like this with that super critical EVA, and I believe this has a higher stack height. I believe the stack height on the Hoka Mach 6 is 37 in the heel, 32 in the forefoot, and then it's a 30mm, it's a 5mm drop. So comparing it to these two compete neck and neck with each other. Now, the Rebel V4 has a 6mm drop, and the Hoka Mach 6 has a 5mm drop, but in the heel it's 37, in the forefoot it's 32, in the heel it's 30, in the forefoot it's 24. So you're going to feel much more of the ground with this compared to the Hoka Mach 6. And that super critical EVA foam plus that rocker, it makes it nearly impossible to feel the ground in these by design. And if it wasn't for the toe box being so slim, this would be one of my favorite daily trainers of 2024. This is my favorite daily trainer of 2024. Now, a lot of people are probably going to use this for tempos because of the low stack,
but this is a great shoe if you want to run in all terrains and feel connected to the ground. This is a great shoe for beginner runners. This enters the chat is if you want to feel completely isolated from the ground. 45.5 millimeter in the heel and a 37.5 millimeter in the forefront, giving you an 8 millimeter drop. This is not going to allow you to touch the ground. You're not going to feel anything in the ground. You're just going to feel comfort, supposedly. We're going to find out today, the entire time. I'm taking this on a 5-mile recovery run to break these in, and we're going to give a thorough review after the fact. I feel like my my foot is wrapped in like a tire. I feel like these things are ready for anything. Super wide base. These things are extremely wide. Toe box, really roomy. I don't feel any rubbing. Midsole, chunky. This is a max stack height shoe, but this shoe is really comfortable. This would be a great walking shoe. I wonder how it will perform once we start running. But an amazing shoe. I gotta go. I gotta get this run done, and then we're gonna come back and dive even deeper into the details. All right, deuces. Slowpoke pace. That's L joint. That's Florida. I'm following you. We got our first run in the Superblast, an easy 5-miler today. Very interesting ride, I might say. The reason why I say interesting is because when I first put them on foot, phenomenal. I'm talking about, I understand why the hype around these shoes exist. And then I started running in them. And after about mile 3, I was fighting against the foam. I felt like I was running on bricks. I could just say I was running barefoot. So then I went back and I saw all the reviews about how you had to break them in, which now I understand there's a break-in period. So I'm excited to get these broken in. I'm going to use these for the next week, put all my mileage in them until they get broken in, and then I'm probably going to use them just for recovery days, easy days, and then utilize the Endorphin Speed 4, which we're reviewing next week. Probably just alternate between the two over the next 2 weeks. But yes, cop these at the local running shop for $100. And as you guys know, this is a super trainer, and super trainers usually cost upwards of $200 to $250, and they just came out with the Superblast 2, which is, from what I understand, a direct replica of this, minor a few tweaks. One thing I do have to talk about in regards to, before we get into our in-depth review, is one of my concerns with the ASICS Superblast is probably the ventilation. I mean, it is a behemoth of a shoe, a major stack height of 45.5, and the heel, as we talked about earlier today before we got on our run, and I don't see any sort of ventilation in the forefoot or even in the upper that will benefit a Floridian like myself. And as you guys know, I've been fighting against the heat this summer. Going out at 6 in the morning, 6:30, 7 o'clock, hot. And once the sun comes up, do or die. So I like to have uppers similar to the Rebel V4 from New Balance. The upper on these are phenomenal. It has that engineered mesh, AKA Phantom Fit as they call it. But the Phantom Fit is a great mesh, very breathable. Also, it has ventilated insoles. So I think this was a well-engineered upper. no pun, well-engineered upper and suitable for hot weather conditions. Now, just off of first impressions, just looking at it, I don't know if it's going to be consistent with the other two. I understand this is a different shoe, but yeah, so far it doesn't look like it's going to be a ventilated shoe for the Florida Heat. So I might just sweat through it. Enough yapping. Let's put the camera in POV. Let's get into the details. Namaste. Oh, before we get into POV, this is the breakdown. First, we're going to talk about the aesthetics. Then we're going to talk about the upper. Then we're going to talk about the midsole. Then we're going to talk about the sole to give an in-depth review. We're also going to do some comparisons as POV activated in the Superblast by ASICS. Now, this is a aesthetically very pleasing shoe. I'm not going to lie, it's low-key bulky though. And the heel, I'm not really a big fan of the heel. It looks like a boat, to be honest with you, but I do enjoy the lines. The upper, I do love the aesthetics of the upper. From the midfoot to the heel, I'm a little iffy on it. But yeah, I would probably rate this a solid 6 out of 10 for the aesthetics of Superblast. I know you guys are probably going to disagree, and that is okay. Your opinion does matter as well, just like mine. But I just don't mess with this part. It's just this part right here. It just looks weird to me. And also the Superblast 2, they just looks weird in the back, you know? Aesthetically, the upper, I would say I do love the material, although I think just because there isn't any sort of ventilated holes, it does seem very thin. I was sweating in this earlier and it sweat through the upper and it dried pretty quickly. So hopefully with more runs on these, I can see how the upper performs over time. I do like the colorway somewhat, that creamsicle colorway. I like the orange, reminds me of Florida orange. And then you have Superblast hit on the pull tab, and then an ASICS emblem on the very back. Heel counter, very cushioned, also around the ankle collar, very cushioned, very ventilated tongue. Let's see what the insole is. The insole is removable. Yes, we love removable insoles, but it's not ventilated. So, not ventilated, and you can still see somewhat, you still see my sweat. So, hasn't dried completely, which makes me feel like this might be a steam bed. I should probably compare these to my Adidas. Those are probably the other super trainers that I have, but it's carbon plated, so it's not going to be apples to apples. Let's check. Super trainer that I have currently in the collection is going to be the Adidas Superblast, the Adidas Prime X. Now these were a part of, as you can see, the 300-mile club. I put well over 300 miles on these, but these have been through thick and through thin. This has been my easy-paced recovery day shoe. I know most people are going to disagree with that use, but I use these for all of my easy runs and all of my recovery runs, and they held up well. This was a 50mm stack height shoe, a behemoth of a shoe. I think, in my opinion, Adidas kind of started that max cushion trainer trend. I could be wrong, but the Prime X was the first one that caught my eye. This is also a max cushion trainer, but it's non-carbon plated. These have the carbon rods that Adidas has made infamous. But this is that good old naturally aspirated V8. And yeah, no carbon plate. It is just a midsole and just non-carbon plated midsole. ASICS has used two different types of midsoles. They use the FF Turbo, which is their race foam. It is used in most of their premier racing shoes. Yeah, this thing is stiff. It's definitely stiff. And then they have that FF, can you see it? FF Blast Plus, that kind of lays an orange right beneath the FF Turbo. So the FF Blast Plus, that is their training foam, found in most of their training shoes. And then they have that FF Turbo, which is in the midsole all the way through. So no carbon plate needed. Running in this shoe, once it breaks in, I can tell there will be no carbon plate. A carbon plate would not be needed for this type of runner. It is well suited without one. All right, so let's also talk about the huge midsole, or just sole in general. Now, a lot of people say that the little rivets within the midsole is a rock catcher 3000. So catches a lot of rocks. We're just gonna have to find out and see, compare it to Adidas. Both of them really large. These shoes definitely need to be broken into. There is definitely a break-in period when it comes to these. And I'm excited to use these as my recovery easy run shoe. As you guys know, right now we are currently at 40 miles a week, 40 to 40 miles a week, 40 to 45 miles a week, sorry. I can't speak. And next week we have another 45-mile week, and then the week after I'm traveling, so that is going to be our recovery week. So we drop mileage in half. So we're gonna go back to 20, 25 miles that week, and then we continue our build. Hopefully we can peak sometime in September. Our goal is 75 miles, but which shoe we're racing in, I don't know. I don't know. But these would be a great addition to the stable. Having the ASICS Superblast, especially its renowned credibility in regards to its comfort. It'll be nice to check this out and to see if it actually is as comfortable as everyone says. So stay tuned as we go through all the testings in regards to the ASICS. I will see you guys very soon. Peace.